You have been in meetings when you were supposed to give some design feedback to your project manager's ideas or your dev team's ideas. You are very happy that everybody is participating to the UX design process, but you do not know how to give feedback as well without hurting their feelings or making the feedback actually constructive. And that is why in today's video we are going to be talking about how to give design feedback, and I'm going to be giving you 3 tips so that you can give better feedbacks about other people's design so that you can actually make the design process more constructive and learning from each other. Most often, a bad feedback isn't about its content, but when you receive it. It's almost like a joke when I had talked with a friend of mine years back when he was telling me there are no bad breakups, there are late breakups. What this story tells us in terms of the UX design process is that usually the problems we have about getting feedback or giving feedback happens when we give them late for a certain stage of the process. For example, if you are at the ideation sketching phase, you want to get good feedback on the structure of your designs and you want to get it as early as possible. If you don't, you will get that structural feedback in low fidelity or high fidelity, which will make it more costly, because even if the feedback is right, it's hard to change your designs. If the feedback is wrong and you have to talk to other person about it, chances are they might have forgotten your initial ideas in the earlier stages because let's say we're in low fidelity now and it's harder to have a conversation about it. So make sure you get the right feedback from each deliverable for each stage of the design process as fast as you can. Now my next feedback is that you should make your design feedback as logical as you can, and from my experience I know 3 categories of arguments you can use. The first one is whether the design idea actually serves the user's goals, needs. For example, let's say I'm on Medium and we are at the high fidelity design stage for the Medium's this UI, and I am talking with a colleague and their idea is that they want to start the user in the following section first. If I were to make an argument about how this doesn't serve the user's goals, because as a user you want to act as a user, based on our research we found that our users are much more likely to want to actually find new writers on the topics they are interested instead of just seeing the same author's old writings they read. And you can make this argument pretty well. The second type of argument that you can give for a design idea is actually whether that design is actually good for the context the user is going to use them. For example, and this is usually much more about structure. Let's say we actually go inspect and we go to mobile mode. If based on our user research we found that most users only use portrait mode in their phones because they are actually using Medium when they are walking around, so it is very hard to walk around with your whole both hands looking at something, so you are this and your other hand is free. Then if we have received this landscape design from the designer, we could have asked, and let's say this is the low fidelity, we could have asked, hey, this design that you are proposing actually is for landscape and it's a good idea, but we know based on our research that this part of the mobile screen type actually won't be used by our users because we are relying on portrait. Why not just show a message to tell the user that they have to switch back? Now the right idea might be actually to introduce landscape to also minimize the amount of loss you might have for users who are sitting and want to use landscape, but you can understand how the argument works. The third thing I want to say is you can make an argument for the maintainability of the design idea. For example, let's say we are on the asos.com website and our colleague proposed the idea of, let's say, this part where for actually changing or making the choice for picking the area we are shopping in, they propose this menu. And we look at it and we see, okay, so The problem with this menu, like we see here, is when we are only serving 4 different countries, this menu would work, but when it's more than 50, it's taking the full screen and it becomes very hard to maintain as well in terms of visual statistics. Maybe we need to add some sort of a scroll limit after 5 ideas. You want to just show the 5. So we are making the argument on maintainability of the good user experience. The moment we go, I believe, above 10, this becomes very cumbersome as it takes the whole screen. So we might need to give feedback on maybe a limit. Maximum number of the countries we would show might make it better, and it would help us maintain the design. Now, my last tip to you is to give according feedback depending on the part of the design process you are in. What do I mean by this? The type of feedback you want to give your project managers ideas or your developer colleagues ideas is different if you are in low fidelity, high fidelity, or user research phase. Meaning, when you are actually discussing your user research document and you want to give feedback to one of the ideas, let's say a future suggestion popped off in your stakeholder's head, you don't want to give your feedback based on the the problems of the interaction the idea might propose, because we are not at that stage yet. Your feedback should probably be if the user research is valid, or that the idea of the stakeholder actually has a conflict of interest with the customer or user, etc. If you are at the low fidelity stage and you got an idea from your manager, make sure you don't criticize how it violates the color scheme or the accessibility, because right now we are at the low fidelity stage, we are deciding the structure. Make sure your design feedback is about the structure of their idea instead of the very high detailed stuff. And learning this is very important, because if you give a feedback, let's say of a stage, let's say the low fidelity design, and you give a high fidelity design feedback, that just creates noise and it won't tell the other person, the other party, the thing they need to actually improve their ideas. So make sure you know what stage you are on as of the project and give feedback accordingly. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video, and you haven't already and you want to learn more from me, from my videos, so that you can become a better UI UX designer, please feel free to subscribe below so you will get a notification when I actually upload new videos that will help make you a better UI UX designer. Hey guys, I have put 2 more videos at the end of this video that I believe will make you have a better career in UI UX design. Make sure you check them out, and if you have any questions, make sure that you drop a comment below.